Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, March 21st, and I didn't think I was going to be vlogging today because, as I mentioned at the end of last week's vlog, I have been in a meeting of some sort pretty much the whole day, and I didn't think I'd be vlogging at all for that reason, but I changed my mind. So the meetings that I've been in today all revolved around finalizing contract negotiations, and I decided to try and vlog a little bit today because often when I mention the fact that I'm doing contract negotiations, I'll get questions from people in different states asking what exactly that means or what does it entail. So I thought on my way home, this would be the perfect time to kind of just tell you what it is based on the experience I have with my district. So I teach in California. We have a California Teachers Association, and then we have our own Teachers Association within the district. Now this person is flying in this parking lot. You ought to be ashamed. So I'm a site rep at my school for our districts union, and then right now, or the past couple months since December, I've been acting as a negotiations representative, you know, representing the entire body of teachers with my school district, along with I think it's 6 other teachers in total. And so what we negotiate, when I say we're negotiating, it really depends on the year. So there are some years where we are able to negotiate the salary that we're making, benefits, and one article in our contract. There's multiple articles, but on those years we only get to negotiate one, in addition to salary and benefits. And every time I've done it in the past, the one article the teachers always choose is work hours and responsibilities, because it's the article that really affects our day-to-day life as teachers the most. This year, the entire contract was open, meaning that every single word essentially of the contract is up for review and could be changed. So, and the process is like, we get started with the process as the union representatives by surveying our teachers, asking them what is it that you would like for us to try and change, what do you want us to work on. We already know that they're going to want increased salary and improved benefits if necessary. So when we ask that, we're really asking what in the contract would you like for us to see if we can negotiate some change with, and then we go from there. So we send out surveys through SurveyMonkey, we have meetings, all of that, and then that guides for us what we're going to be negotiating at the table. And of those things, knowing we won't get everything that we ask for, so then prioritizing what are the things that we are like sticking to our guns with, like what are the we must see change in these areas. So we'll develop that plan. Meanwhile, the district really, I mean, and I don't know this for certain, but the district reps, I don't think are doing that because they probably, their strategy is to keep things as close to what they already are as possible. But they know that salary is always going to be an issue and benefits is always going to be an issue, so they're prepared for that. So we typically, not typically, when, so that all takes a couple months to do research. And then when the time comes for us to be at the table, which is what I've been doing for the past couple months, we will always start with our proposal first. So we'll line out everything that we would like to change in the contract, what we would like to see. We really only have one person speaking for the majority of the time during this process, and that's considered our lead negotiator. And in my first few years doing this, that one person was the only person that was ever able to speak when both teams were at the table. As the years have progressed, we've changed that to make it more conversational and make it feel less like us versus them. But we still rely on the lead negotiator to do the vast majority of the talking, but he or she is being, for lack of a better term, told what to say based on our conversations we've had in the planning process. So we all know what what the lead negotiator is going to say because we've talked it through and said this is what we need you to say at the table. I'm telling you, people driving today. So we'll present, they'll take what we've presented back, the district will, then they'll come back, it could be an hour, it could be 2 hours, it just depends, and they will present what they would like. And they may accept some of the things that we've offered, or they may reject. And more often than not, those first few exchanges, there's not a whole lot of accepting going back and forth. So that process could occur multiple times. It just depends on how far apart or how close the two different sides are. And then finally, and as this is going on, we do like try and send out communication to the teachers at large and let them know that we've met today. We're still negotiating. We obviously can't tell them, you know, where we stand with things, because it's like, you know, a game of poker. You don't want to show your cards or whatever the case may be. You don't want to get people out there with misinformation and all that. So we keep it pretty vague, but they know that we're in the process of negotiating. In terms of what it's like at the table, some years, my first few years, I would say was kind of tense, but it's definitely changed over the years, where I wouldn't say it's tense, it's definitely serious, and you can start to identify what sticking points are for each side of the table, as well as individuals and what their sticking point is. But it's as friendly as it can be in that kind of situation. There's always food provided, there's laughs, there's all this and that, but we're also taking care of business. So when we met I think it was last Thursday, we left feeling like we're pretty much done. Like we have come to an agreement. Each side gets some of what they want and loses some of the things they were asking for before, and we know that that's a part of the game. So we meet in the middle somewhere, but we were there till almost 7:30 last Thursday. So today's meetings were really to just review everything, finalize everything, get language physically changed, just like basically dot our I's and cross our T's. So I had to be at the first meeting at about 10:30. So I went there, and then we left that location and went over to the district office, and I've been there since about 1. And like I said, it's about 3:45 right now. So we believe we are done. And that is when that happens, that's when we say that we've reached a tentative agreement, meaning that we think it's good, but now it's up to the teachers to vote. So before we have the teachers vote, we have something called a town hall meeting, where we invite every teacher in the district to a specific location to hear us explain what the tentative agreement involves, and then they leave, and then we have a couple of days reserved for voting. And based on what they heard at the town hall meeting, or if they didn't go to the town hall meeting, based on what they're seeing sent out to them electronically, they will vote to either approve the new contract, or they will vote to reject the new contract. In all the years that I've done it, I don't think I've been around where it has been rejected. So if it gets approved, and this tentative agreement does include a pay raise and percentage, if it gets approved, then we get retroactive pay from the months that we haven't gotten that new pay raise, and the new benefits and all the other things take effect for the upcoming school year. So we negotiate for pay retroactively, and every other thing that we're negotiating is it proactively or for the year to come. So the good news is we think we're done. We should be done. I think we feel good about what we were able to accomplish, and now it's just up to the teachers. So fingers crossed that that's it. And just on a side note, because I'm on this whole financial, let's get it together, let's make more money, save more money, all of that. This is one of the things that I do choose to do. Yes, because you know what I realized in the last video, I always say A lot, and then B. But this is one of the things I choose to do because it is something I'm interested in, and I just find the process interesting, and it's a change of pace, and I like to be involved. But it is a way for me to make additional income, because you do get a stipend per meeting for being the union rep and going to the meetings and getting all the information and then relaying that to your staff. And then the actual negotiations process, because you're out for so long, you're putting in all these hours, there's a stipend that you get for that as well. So it's a little extra money to make, but that is negotiations in a nutshell. Hopefully that all made sense. I am now home in my garage, so I'm gonna end today's clip here, and I'm sure you will see me at some point tomorrow. So see you then. Hello everyone, it is Wednesday. I I do believe this is the first time I'm picking up the camera today. So today's Wednesday. It is about 5:07. I'm getting ready to leave home. I just finished getting things ready for tomorrow, and it took me a little bit longer because tomorrow I am actually having a formal observation. So I knew what I was doing, but I just needed to make sure I had the copies made. I'm just about ready, like in terms of physically having copies made and things set up in the classroom for tomorrow. I'm ready, but I still need to go home and like type up everything I need to give to my assistant principal who's going to be observing me tomorrow. So just to kind of give you an idea, so I'm going to tell you what my plan is today and what I believe is going to happen in the most perfect teaching world. And then at some point tomorrow, I'll check in and let you know if it went well or if I am going to be resigning from this position. Let's hope it's the former and not the latter. So she's going to be coming tomorrow during 4th period. So during that class period, it is my homeroom class, and that is when I teach social studies. And so that is what she's coming to see. So we are in only chapter 3 of our social studies book, which shame, next year I'll be better, but I'm just surviving this year in terms of just getting my feet wet with everything, and I've been out quite a bit. But anyway, the particular lesson that we are going to be working on tomorrow is a continuation of today. And at this point, what we're looking at is just after the Articles of Confederation have been in place for a while and people realize things aren't really working the way they thought it would work, they draft the Constitution, and now we're at the point where it needs 9 out of the 13 states to approve it or ratify it. And so tomorrow we're taking a look at where people that were considered to be Federalist stand versus Anti-federalist. And we've talked about that a little bit today. We defined the two groups and what some of their concerns are. And so this is just kind of a follow-up to that. So what I like is I found this lesson that pairs nicely with the social studies book, and this is from the Stanford History Education Group. And this is a resource that I did not know about because I was not a middle school social studies teacher. But when I made the transition, of course, I talked to my friend Megan at Too Cool for Middle School and just asked her what resources she uses because I really like her approach to teaching social studies and things like that. So this was one of the things that she mentioned. And so what this is that the kids will be given 2 documents, and really I'm going to give them 3. And document A is an example of an anti-federalist position, and this is the original document, meaning like these are the words of the actual person. And I don't know how to pronounce this person's name, and honestly I've never even heard this name in history, but it's Melikaton Smith. Not sure if I'm saying it right. If I'm not, my apologies. And he's an anti-federalist. So he is someone who at the time was not happy with the Constitution and was not necessarily in favor of having a strong central government, and felt like the people that were really in control were going to be the wealthy. So they're going to read this. They're going to read and annotate it. And I'm just going to ask them as a group to decipher, what is this person saying? Like annotate it, write notes, what do you think they're saying? And then I'm going to give them some time to discuss using a Kagan structure, probably something like a timed round robin. And then they're going to be given the second document, and they'll be given all these things at the same time. My vision is to have this in a packet. So they'll be referred to the second document, which will be document B. And this is an example of a Federalist position, and these are words of Alexander Hamilton, which they know the name because of Hamilton. And he was considered a Federalist, was in support of ratifying the Constitution, felt like there needed to be a strong central government. And same thing, they're going to read it, annotate it, and discuss with their group. What is he saying? And then we're going to discuss as a whole group. And hopefully they, through those processes of reading, annotating, and discussing together, will get the gist of what each person is saying. In case they don't, this lesson also provides modified versions of each of those documents that send more user-friendly language that they can understand. But when I read the original documents last night, I don't think that they're so beyond the kids that they won't be able to understand it, because we've read some things like this before where we just kind of talk about the importance of like sourcing material and reading the original document and seeing if what the original document says lines up with maybe a modified version. And even in that, like when they talk through it, they get the gist of what someone is saying. And so I'm hoping that's the case with this. And even if it isn't, just the quality or the value of showing them, okay, this is the person's original words and this is the modified version, and it gives them the opportunity to even critique whether or not the modified version really lines up with the original version. And it's like a little crutch in case nobody in this classroom understands what the original version is. That's kind of like the security blanket or backup plan for me. So we're gonna do that with both of them. And then we'll have a whole group discussion and just debrief. I don't know if I said that already. And then they'll complete this graphic organizer where they're looking at document A, which was the Anti-federalist. And then they're gonna answer these 4 questions. Is this person happy with how the new Constitution deals with representation? What kind of government would this person like to see? Find a quote to support your claim. And then based on this document, what sort of people in society would support this point of view? Basically, are these working class people that would support this point of view, or would these be wealthy people supporting that point of view? So they'll fill out the graphic organizer, and then at the end, we're gonna finish the notes from the actual lesson from the social studies book. So we took most of the notes from the lesson today, and I left the very last section for tomorrow because the last section lets them know how everything played out. Because these 2 documents, I think, if I remember correctly, deal with debates that were happening in New York. Yeah, documents from New York, the New York Constitution Ratification Convention in June of 1787, which was from the most heatedly debated of all states. And the social studies book, the last section I skipped, tells them how everything played out and that the Constitution was ratified. So I wanted to do this first before we took notes on that last little section. I forgot to mention that I am going to kind of introduce all this or engage them or get them into it with another vocabulary video that I found that I'm really excited about. I just typed in Constitution, a great video came up that kind of goes over how the Enlightenment, like aspects of the Enlightenment, can be found in some of our most important documents in this country historically. So fingers crossed that it goes well. I mean, honestly, my classes for the most part are pretty good. My switch class is a little bit more chatty than my homeroom class. We all know that. So in case any one of them are watching, it's not a surprise. But in terms of just generally, both classes do pretty well, so I don't have any apprehension there. I just hope I keep my nerves under control. So as long as I've been teaching and as confident as I am in the choices that I make to teach when I'm all alone teaching, it's still nerve-wracking to have someone in here watching you with the purpose of evaluating whether or not you're doing a good job. So I don't know that I will talk to you before the observation tomorrow, because I might be just so focused on getting everything ready and getting my mind right. But I will definitely talk to you afterwards and let you know how it goes. So that is it as far as the day in general. It just was one of those, like, it wasn't a bad day, but we didn't get everything done. We didn't get any language arts done. We didn't do any reading of Boy in the Striped Pajamas, which I was disappointed by. I think the class was probably too, because everyone's enjoying that book. But we just needed to get where we needed to be in social studies so that everything was set up for tomorrow. And then there were some assignments that kids were still working on from Friday. Not from Friday, from yesterday. I was out yesterday. So, but it is what it is. That happens in the class sometimes. So I'm getting ready to go home, shower, and then just work on getting everything put together as far as like writing everything out to give to my assistant principal tomorrow. And then I'm gonna go to bed and wake up and have another day. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Hello, everybody. Sorry, I was checking my phone. I just got a text message. It is Thursday at about 4:15. I had my observation today, and before my observation we had a district visit, which I forgot about and was reminded of yesterday. So the district visit equates to the district coming around, trying to visit as many classrooms as possible for a couple minutes here, a couple minutes there. So it's not really anything you have to prepare for. So they left, and then my formal observations started. And all in all, I feel like it went smoothly. I was satisfied with it. I don't really have any major complaints or regrets or anything like that. And the principals seem to be happy with it. I made a couple of last minute changes that I think I mentioned in yesterday's clip, but I decided to start the lesson with the vocabulary video that I had found yesterday, and the assistant principal really enjoyed that, to the point where she's like, oh, where'd you get that? We need to see about getting a school-wide account for it. So we did that, and then we jumped into the lesson, which again was just talking about the philosophical differences between Federalist and Anti-Federalist. I'm very happy that in the process of preparing, I don't remember if I said this yesterday, but the students are basically looking at documents from a document from Alexander Hamilton and Melleton Smith. And at first I was just going to have them look at the original documents where it's their words, unmodified, unedited in any way, because we had done this before and they were pretty good about interpreting what was being said. And so in my lesson plan that I give to the assistant principal beforehand, so they know what they're coming to see, I think I put in there that we would read the modified versions if necessary. And just really immediately as I started and I was reading it with the class, because I chose to read it as they followed along and annotated, just watching how they were or were not annotating as I was reading told me they're going to need to hear the modified version. So and the other change that I made is, I think in my mind as I was planning this, I was just going to read this whole thing and then have them annotate while I'm reading the whole thing. But again, as I was reading it and just kind of gauging like their body language and stuff, I decided I'm gonna read one paragraph at a time, give them some time on their own to annotate, make notes, and then go on to the next paragraph. And both of those choices in the course of the lesson, I think really helped it stay on course and go smoothly. The only thing we didn't get a chance to finish, which I assigned for homework, is at the very end of the lesson, after reading through the documents, both modified and unmodified, they had this graphic organizer that kind of proves whether or not they understand some of the differences and some of the key points Federalists and Anti-Federalists were making in this whole process. I think my homeroom class, we got started on it, but they didn't get to finish it. And then in my switch class, we didn't even get to start it. So it was assigned as homework. And I'm kind of using this to see whether or not they understand. So I think it went well. We have to have a post-observation, just throwing this away because I don't need it, a post-observation meeting, which she will schedule and let me know about. But I got the impression that she felt like it went well. I just saw her quickly in passing, and she said, good job, but you never know until you sit down and you talk with them. So we did that, and then we read chapter 9 of Boy in the Striped Pajamas, and we had a little bit of a debate there because we're in chapter 9, and before we start a new chapter, we always rehash what happened in the last chapter, and both classes thought that in chapter 8 there was this flashback scene that was happening. And so me and the other teacher in the classroom who provides RSP support, we were like, no, that's not a flashback. But I also wanted to make sure they knew that, so I said something like, I don't believe and I did not interpret that as a flashback, but I could be wrong. So in my homeroom class, the kids that really felt like it was a flashback gave us what they felt was text evidence, and then as we read it through, realized it's not a flashback, but I could see where and why they thought it was. And even though that wasn't planned, I kind of enjoyed that part of the lesson the most, because it shows them, okay, this is what active readers do. Like, if you think something's happening and there's a little bit of confusion, go back, reread it, and think about it a little bit more. So that happened in homeroom class, and then I mentioned it in my switch class, not thinking that that class also thought it was a flashback, but it turns out that they did. So we clarified it there. So that's pretty much what we did today. Tomorrow, it's going to be a little interesting because I have a field trip with my leadership class that's only going to be about an hour or so. We're going to see a rally at the local high school, which is the high school I went to. And I have a sub all day, even though I won't be gone all day. So we'll have some extra support in the classroom for that. But basically tomorrow they're going to be taking a quiz in social studies, and we're going to be reading chapter 10 of Boy in the Striped Pajamas. So, and we have a spirit day tomorrow. It's Peace and Love Day, which is like going to be like hippie themed, but I don't know if we're going to have a lot of participation because people either don't seem to know that it's happening tomorrow, or what I mean, or what we mean by peace and love. So I'm a little nervous about that. And we're trying something new to encourage students to dress up by passing out raffle tickets and doing a drawing at each grade level for students that were dressed in spirit wear, and the prize is going to be a gift card. But we've never done that before, so I don't really know what to expect. So that's it. I'm gonna go home now. I'm actually going to the grocery store. I'm only supposed to go once a week, but I forgot a couple of things because I went off script with Blue Apron, and I'm out of the habit of grocery shopping. I am making nachos for dinner tonight, and to say I'm excited about the nachos is an understatement, but I'm missing some shredded lettuce, and I think there was something else I needed to get at the store. So I'm gonna go do that, and then I'm gonna try and relax a little bit for the night. So let's see. I just make my grocery list on the Target app. I need shredded lettuce and these other things. What did it say, Thursday? It says I need tater tots. So shredded lettuce and tater tots for some leftover hamburger materials I'm gonna use. So anyway, I'm going home. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Hello everyone, it is Friday, about 4 o'clock. I thought I was gonna get home earlier, but I just finished talking to my teammate next door, Jenna. I don't know if I've ever said, but this is her first year teaching, so we were just kind of talking through our day and talking through our week. And she had some just like questions for me as a teacher that has been teaching a lot longer than a year. So we finished that up, and as I was getting ready to turn the camera on, I thought it would be interesting if maybe by the end of the year it would be interesting if I did a video with my teammate, because it's her first year and she's teaching middle school, and I thought there might be some of you out there that are aspiring teachers that would like to hear from a first year teacher who started their career in middle school, what that experience was like, because she's teaching 8th grade math and science, which is, I don't know that I would have been brave enough to do that for my first year of teaching. So here I am. I am just wrapping up the vlog here as far as how today went. Today went relatively good. The big focus today was for me to go on this field trip with my leadership students. So the local high school that all these kids will be feeding into, or most of them, unless they choose to go to a different high school. The high school that most of them will be going to next year agreed to allow us to come see one of their rallies. So we went to see one of their rallies. They're having a powder puff game tonight, and so this was the rally to kind of get the school amped up for it. And so we were going just to kind of see how they run their rallies, how are they organized, what do they do, and see if we can kind of pick up some things that we can incorporate at the middle school level, and really just to kind of maybe inspire them to be a part of student government when they go to high school next year. So what was really great about it is the high school we went to is the high school that I went to way back before dinosaurs roamed the earth. Not that long ago, but way back when. And so while I was there, I made sure to take a moment to go run over to one of my teachers from high school that still teaches there. She was my journalism teacher, then my I think I was on newspaper, or I wrote articles, I can't remember, but then my yearbook advisor from my sophomore to senior year. Still in the same classroom, so it like brought back memories. Room H3. And so I said hi to her, and then I ran into a few of my students that I had in 5th grade. The student that was organizing it for us, she was my 5th grader, so I got to see her very quickly because she was super busy trying to get everything done. One of the other students was on the cheer team, so I got to see her. Both those girls are sophomores. Then I saw another student who wasn't mine, but was Liza's, but Liza's students and my students were like one and the same. He's a senior. And then on our way out, I happened to run, or on our way in, I ran into a student who just happened to see me. She's a sophomore. And then on our way out, I ran into another student who's currently a junior. And it's always just so nice to see them, and always so nice to be remembered or recognized. So that was great. My leadership students left the rally feeling totally like pumped up, amped, like, or in their words, hyped. And so that was great, but then they felt a little self-conscious about their rallies in comparison to the one that they just saw. So I had to remind them, like, some of the things you saw, like, it's gonna be better just because the kids are older, they have more experience, they're a little bit more mature, and they have like bigger facilities, access to equipment that we don't have access to at this time. But there were definitely some things that we saw that we can try and incorporate, like they saw their dancers' performance and how they perform and how much they put into the actual act of performing. And then some of the decorations, I got some ideas from that. So we left here at about 10 o'clock. The high school is like right down the street, and then we got back here at about 11:30. So we weren't gone for very long. And then when I came back, I had a full day sub. My homeroom class was trying to finish up their performance task, which is a district assessment. Then they had a social studies quiz. Then they had to do their reflection for the article of the week. And then by the time all that was said and done, it was time for lunch. Switch class came, kind of the same thing, quiz, article of the week reflection, and then they had a study sync assignment they needed to finish. And I didn't get to read Boy in the Striped Pajamas to either class because we were at such weird blocks of time, and I don't like for one class to be ahead of another class. So that was how today went. I wish I would have gotten more done, but it is what it is. So I feel like there was something I wanted to show you. I think what it is, I wanted to show you the article of the week because I wanted to feel like I was giving you something useful if you teach middle school. So this product is actually something that I got off of Teachers Pay Teachers from a teacher named Read It, or her store name is Read It, Write It, Learn It. And I use this in corporation with vocabulary, and that is something that I learned about from Megan at Too Cool for Middle School. So in my grade level, they have a current event as one of the things that they have to complete. And so what I decided to do after realizing on vocabulary, there's this whole segment called Week in Rap that they do every week, is they will watch the vocabulary video on Week in Rap. And if I've talked about this before, I apologize. And they just, in a very short time span, give you the highlights of current events for the week, obviously in rap format. Very engaging to the students. The students always ask to make sure we're going to watch it. And then based on the news stories they present there, I try and find a news article on Newsella. So of course they mentioned the impeachment process with the president in the vocabulary. So then I found an article on Newsella that goes along with that. And then you get this cover sheet, which is the product from Read It, Write It, Learn It. So I give these out on Monday and they're due on Friday. Students have to always annotate using specific colors that I've given them, and I'll show it to you. I feel like I've shown this to you guys before, so I'm really sorry if this is a repeat. So these are the colors that I use. Those are directions from the sub today. Orange, purple, yellow, blue, green, and pink. Orange is questions they have as they read. Purple is evaluations, which I kind of explain to them as like, this is your chance to give your opinion or your response to something that you read. Yellow is inferences. Blue is comprehension. Green is predictions. And pink is making connections. For article of the week, they rarely use green, but all the other colors they do use. And so they have to annotate every single week. And then the cover sheet for the article of the week asks them to do different things. So next week, what they have to do after reading this article on the impeachment process is they have to state a claim based on the text that they read. And then they have to support the claim using 2 details from the text, in addition to just regularly annotating things. And I want to show you what the annotations look like. I saved a couple samples from students this year so that when I do this next year and introduce it, I have some examples to show. 1 minute. Okay, so I think this sample that I grabbed is the very first one that they did. And when I saw this one, I was like, yes, this is what I want all of them to look like. So the very first one was just really teaching them how to annotate. The colors are not incorporated with this Teachers Pay Teachers product. I just added that layer because for annotations, I'm not really into kids drawing symbols and all of that. I just want them to highlight. So this one was really just asking them to annotate the text to show your close reading analysis of the text and to build your understanding of key points. Use the following checklist to help you. So it tells them what to do, but I color coded it for them. So the first one, for example, says underline important ideas. Every time you underline, explain what makes that idea important in your own words. So for them, I said that's like comprehension, so I want you to highlight that in blue. And then they have a rubric down here that goes from no evidence, meaning that they basically didn't annotate anything, to mastery. So this student did a great job. This week they read an article about the studies showing mixed messages of how social media influences teens, and then they read and annotated. So there are her highlights, her annotations. This is one of those students that her work is always very nice. Her annotations are color coded to match her highlights, and there you go. So I grade it. They turn this in on Friday, and then with this product are Google Slides where they go in and they talk about some new understandings that they've gathered from reading this particular article. So I really like it because current events was something that the grade level does, but this was a way for me to make the process a little bit easier for students, even though some of them complain about doing it. I said, guys, you're really lucky because I provide you with the article so you don't have to go hunt it down. I feel like someone just opened my door. You have a whole week to work on it. And so all the hard work is taken out for you. So that is what we typically spend time doing on Fridays, is turning these in and then doing the reflections on the Google Slides. So all in all, today was a good day. This week was a pretty good week. I wish I would have gotten a little bit more done, but it happens, especially when you have a district assessment to take. So I'm getting ready to grab my belongings, I think. Yeah, I don't know if you can see, but I'm already packed up back there. I'm gonna go home and I was gonna say enjoy my weekend, but I am gonna be working. I have some teachers pay teachers ideas that I have floating about, and I wanna kind of maybe start those things over the weekend. So I think tonight I'm gonna work on entering some grades because I got quite a bit graded because I had a sub all day, so I put him to work. So I'm gonna get that stuff done tonight so that my weekend can be devoted to working on those teachers pay teachers products. But if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, please make sure that you do that. And I will see you in the next video. So see you guys next week. Bye.